On Christmas, I prepare a feast and wait for my wife to introduce me to her family after 9 years of being married in secret. Just as I wait with anticipation, my wife walks through the door, holding her first love's hand. Their fingers are interlocked, and their eyes are brimming with affection. Mom, Dad, this is Henry Cooper, my husband. We've been secretly married for the past 10 years. What a handsome young man. You two look perfect together. My mother-in-law is grinning from ear to ear. They stand there chatting, looking like a happy family. Then my wife turns to me, her gaze icy. This is my live-in housekeeper. Come try the food and see if you like it. My wife invites her family to take their seats, but Henry Cooper looks at me with a hint of disdain. The host hasn't even sat down yet. How can the housekeeper sit first? Where are your manners? Henry Cooper's words drew the attention of my in-laws, Julian Finch and Lily Sullivan. They both turned to look at me too, their gazes tinged with displeasure. I was slightly taken aback as my wife, Faith Finch, stepped forward, her expression cold. You actually think you can sit here? You're just a housekeeper. If you don't want to work here, get lost. I stare at Faith in disbelief. Before I could even react, she slapped me. Why are you looking at me like that? Got a problem? Seeing Faith slap me, Henry hurried forward, playing the peacemaker. Easy, Faith. Julian and Lily just got here today. Don't let someone unimportant like him spoil your mood. But when Henry looked at me, he wore a smug expression. He's right, Faith, Lily chimed in from the side. You should just get rid of a housekeeper like this. Hire another one. I was about to get up and explain, but Faith grabbed me by the ear and shoved me out the door. As I stared at the tightly shut door, everything I had looked forward to suddenly came crashing down. I collapsed to the ground and came down with a high fever. After learning that Julian and Lily were coming over to celebrate Christmas, I worked day and night over the past couple of days, preparing for their arrival and cleaning the house until it was spotless. I ended up catching a cold from pushing myself too hard. I only got a chance to sit when Julian and Lily arrived, but my excitement was only met with cold indifference from her entire family. I pushed myself up and staggered forward. At some point, it had started raining. When I was kicked out of the house, I was only wearing a thin shirt and a pair of shorts. Getting caught in the rain only made my fever worse. When I passed by a convenience store, I went in and asked to borrow the owner's phone. I wanted to call Faith and ask her to let me come back and pick up some clothes. As soon as the call went through and she heard my voice, her tone changed. Wesley, didn't I tell you to leave after you finished cooking? If it weren't for Henry earlier, I would have given myself away. I'm very disappointed in you. I want you to reflect on yourself. Once you've figured things out, come back and apologize to Henry. Before I could even speak, Faith ended the call. I chuckled coldly, and something inside me died. A gust of wind swept past as I walked out of the store, and I collapsed to the ground. Before I passed out, images of Faith and Henry's loving moments came to mind. Then I blacked out. Faith, 10 years had passed. Since you never loved me, let's end it here. By the time I came to, I was in the hospital. I stared at the ceiling in a daze and realized I was lying in a hospital bed. You're awake. When the door to the hospital room opened, a figure stepped inside. I turned to look, and my heart sank. Was it you who saved me, Ashley? I was a little disappointed. Ashley Town smiled and nodded as she looked at me. What? Not happy to see me? I quickly shook my head, and Ashley said, It's Christmas. Why weren't you at home? Why were you out wandering around with a high fever? You were barely dressed too. Were you trying to make yourself sicker? The concern in Ashley's voice warmed my heart. But when I thought of that so-called home, I couldn't help but let out a self-deprecating laugh. I came out to buy a few things and forgot my keys. Ashley didn't call me out on my flimsy lie. I wanted to pay her back for my medical bills, but when I checked my pockets, I realized I hadn't brought a single thing with me after being kicked out of the house. Ashley waved it off dismissively. Don't worry about it. Consider it a Christmas gift, since you're our top salesperson.